Yep.
Sorry. Yeah, well, at least in Melbourne, we're lucky because, well, at least for me, because my business is not exactly like a big money maker. Usually the money that the government gives usually kind of works out to about what we lose. So it's not so bad. Like with the different rebates and things, it kind of all comes out in the wash a little bit. But yeah, for big hospitality businesses or people with lots of staff, it's really tricky. And also all the casual workers is the worst thing. So but then you've got people like my boss in Sydney for my day job who has told everyone to come into the office because the rules are vague. He's decided that telemarketing is an essential service. So that's interesting. This is why you can't leave it to the people to decide what to do, because there's people like that.
Yeah, that's right. Well, last year I was working for the last few years in a I have my nephew here.
Amazing.
Over there, and he was a little bit like that too, like he decided this or that, and no, I'm an essential worker, and that's all. So, anyway.
Well, how did you go with your homework?
Not too good this time, I think.
You had a lot.
Yeah. Well, I was reading, but the thing is, I'm not really like a dummy with all this stuff of marketing, and I was reading about the avatar, but I couldn't really kind of understand very well what it means.
That's all right. Well, we can work to get through that together. That's fine. It's always good to do a little bit of reading and research first, so that it all pieces together rather than it being a brand new concept. So I think these things, it's through repetition that it kind of happens. So we can come back to that. So let's work on the avatar together.
Because I was reading that this article in the website of the gallery, and I understood a bit, but in the same time I didn't understand 100%. So the avatar is like when it's going to be like in my website, or that's what I couldn't get it, like.
Yeah, it lives in your mind.
Okay.
It lives in your mind. So to put it really simply, imagine we've got imagine that our product is a luxury car, like a $100,000 or $200,000 car. If that was our product, we would put together a persona of the person that would want to buy that car. So they'd probably be earning, I don't know, $500,000 a year, and they care very much about whatever the performance of that vehicle is. And we know that they're most likely to like a yellow, like I see all those ridiculous sports cars. I don't even know what type they are, but they're always yellow, I find. So, we would research what color that person wants. Do they want something that stands out, or do they want something that blends in? And what are their interests? What are their motivations? What's their gender? Where do they live? And we would kind of work out, who is this person that wants to buy this luxury car? Because you're not going to advertise that to people like you and me, right? Because we could never afford that car. Where we in our wildest dreams would we have the problem where we're trying to work out which $200,000 car to buy. Nice problem to have. So that's one product. And then on the other product, let's say we're selling stickers and notebooks and prints of cute, colorful flowers.
Uh-huh.
The person that we're advertising that to is a very different person. It's probably a female or feminine person in their, I don't know, teens to 30s, who lives in a certain place and likes things that are cute and colorful and only earns about $40,000 a year, so they can't spend money on big original artworks, but they still want to be able to support artists and buy small things when they can. So those are two like extreme examples. But obviously the website that you design for the car is going to look very different to the website that you design for the stickers.
Yeah.
The colors you use, the fonts that you use, and also the language that you use and the way that you speak. You know, the luxury car might be like, you deserve power, or something like that. And the sticker one would be like, hey girl, do you want to decorate your iPad? or something like that. So the harder bit is working out how to find an avatar for something like your art, because it's not quite so niche. It's a little bit less direct. But knowing or deciding who you want to try and market it to, for example, if you want to focus on prints, it might be kind of lower income person, or if you're selling originals at $1,000 each, then it would be higher income, or like we were talking about, if you were going really high, you'd be trying to sell to developers, architectural firms, those kinds of people. Does that help? Does that make it a bit clearer?
So the avatar is an idea that I create in my mind. So like someone is my customer. So.
Yeah, and because marketing works best when you're talking to your target audience. Yeah. So my marketing is very tricky because I'm talking to lots of different people. I'm talking to Alberto, and I'm also talking to the girl that makes the stickers. And I'm also talking to, I don't know, Beth, the fine artist, who considers herself very important. So my marketing is a little bit vague, and so it costs a lot because I'm not speaking to a certain person. But yours can be much more specific, and it doesn't mean that you're excluding anybody. It just means that when you write a caption for social media, for example, that you think, okay, I've got my artwork. What would Jeff like to know about this artwork? Would he be interested in the process and how long it took and the technical skill required? Or is he more interested in the stories behind the people that were walking down the street? Because those are two very different personas, aren't they? The person that's following you because they like what you do technically, or the person that's following you because they like the story behind the artwork. And it's very difficult. It's probably the hardest piece of homework I'll give you.
Yeah, because I was kind of trying to, I got a little bit the idea that I was thinking about potential customer, but I didn't understand about this avatar well. Now I understand it's the idea I create about customer, and it's something in my mind, but then I have to put that in the website, I guess.
Yeah. And it's I think maybe it's easier. I just wrote a little note for myself to create tool. So maybe in a week, maybe when I see you next, I'll have created a tool for this, and because you gave me an idea. But maybe it's easier to think about who your customer isn't.
Isn't.
You know, it isn't a teenager. You know, it isn't someone in their 20s. It isn't someone in their 60s, or it isn't a male, or it isn't a female. Or, I mean, art, I think, is a bit genderless in most cases. But still, I would think that your art would probably, yeah, I'm not sure, actually. I take back that thought. But yeah, did you have a look at my template?
Yeah, I think yes, I had a look. Probably not. No.
So maybe have a look at it this week, and when you go through it, instead of thinking about who it is, think about who it isn't.
Okay.
And then write down who it is based on who it isn't. That was a weird sentence, but you got the drift.
The idea now.
Yeah. And so you can see how your About Me page, for example, would be very different if you were writing it for a teenager compared to a 40-year-old. The information in it might be the same, the dot points. I think in my article I had, you know, to write the dot points of what you want to talk about. But the way that you explain that, whether you explain it visually, like your About Me page might start with a picture you've drawn of yourself. It doesn't have to be, hi, I'm Alberto and I am like this. Did you have a crack at that at all?
Yes, I was. Not really, actually, because I got kind of stuck when I was reading about the avatar. Through
That's okay.
I haven't allocate much time so far with all these others thinking, because what happened is when I started looking back into my drawings the other day, I realized that the drawings I've been doing lately I found them much more complete, or I don't know, professional than I used to do before. So
that's great.
Then I've been trying to create more like good quality, more drawings, and actually I was going through some of my old drawings that I even present to some exhibition with you. You found them that actually they were not finished, and because since probably we start talking, I've been start paying more attention to develop this my idea of my own style.
Your brand,
So
yeah.
yes, I've been trying to create uh, products, drawings in a good quality. For example, this one is a drawing that I present with in an exhibition with you guys the other time, but then I was looking back and I didn't feel it is finished. So I've been working this one since like the weekend, like it was really incomplete. So now I've been working this, and probably today we'll finish working and doing all the details that I didn't really probably pay a lot of attention before. But I feel like now I'm developing my own style. For example, this one is the other one I finished the other day. I remember I told you, showed you this one. It was this
Oh
style.
my God.
So this is the one I finished 2 days ago.
Mm-hmm.
So probably what I noticed now that before I never used much color black, but now I feel
Love
like
it.
kind of black stuff is more like kind of my brand, I would say. So I've been trying to create all of those. Now I'm working through some of the old ones. So probably, and because that is when I send you that message the other day, is that I haven't really allocated a lot of time to those other ideas, and probably because I'm trying to use this rush now, because I feel like probably in a few weeks I will get kind of flat of ideas, and then probably can work in all these other
Yeah.
parts.
You can work at your own pace, and that's why I say, you know, if you need to delay by a week or 2 weeks or whatever, like I know that especially with art, you need time for ideas to marinate, and you need time to practice too, don't you? You need time for things to eventuate. I'm just thinking how amazing that piece would look all framed up with a black frame as well. Just that contrast, it would look amazing. And I think that piece probably gives you a little bit of insight into your target audience. Because I would never buy a picture of football. It's not my thing. So like maybe thinking about you and what you're passionate about, because that's the easiest thing to use as a basis, because you can talk passionately about the things you're interested in. So that might be an interest in history, it might be interest in football, it might be interest in teaching and education, kind of drawing on all of your past lives, from when you were a small boy to now, and thinking about kind of what drives you, and perhaps that can be also what drives them, but maybe they earn $150,000 a year. You know, there can be some differences depending on the product you want to sell. You know, I think that with you, we definitely want to have the prints and things available, but I think that selling, you could still sell, I know you don't necessarily want to sell the originals, so still selling prints, but having them limited runs and more expensive would probably be a good move, because I feel like the number of people that we find to buy your work isn't going to be as many as the girl selling stickers. You know, it's a very different, I don't think that person, and we still need to work out who that person is, but I'm not sure that they buy art all the time. I think it's more of a considered purchase. It's something that they do when they go to an exhibition or something like that. So having you could have some artworks that you sell as affordable prints, and then some that you sell as limited edition prints, and maybe they come on a mat board or something like that as well. You know, they're on archival paper, and they've been printed with special inks and blah 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 blah. Did you have a think about or do any research into galleries and join some mailing lists?
Well, I have done it with a few of them. I did with the Brunswick Street Gallery and the of Curve. I joined the mailing list with them. There are a couple of others. I need to go through again and probably to join the mailing list again in others. But I got distracted when I was looking through the galleries the other day, and then I think I forgot to join the mailing list of others, because when I went through the galleries, then I started looking the artists and the art, and then
so you need to complete your mission and then explore, perhaps.
And I did the opposite, and then I actually kind of I lost it. why I was here, and then I just keep going, and yeah,
Yeah. No,
I
but
have
that's
to do,
good.
yeah, because then I
I'm sure
start
you
looking
got some
for something,
inspiration.
yeah, yeah, because
Well, I
because
just added one on there as well. So make sure you look into that one. It was a recent art show called the Incognito Art Show, and they provided the canvas, which was a piece of paper, I think, and all of the art was sold for $100, and the exhibition had like 1,000 artworks in it, and it didn't say who the artwork was by. So there were some artworks that were probably worth like $1 million in the art show, and some that were probably worth $5. But people kind of came through on a first come first serve basis and picked the ones that they wanted. So it was a really interesting show. So that would be a good one to do in the future as well, because anyone was open to submit. It was
uh-huh.
and I know a few artists that sold work in it because people didn't know if someone was famous or not, right? So they would still take a chance to see um, to see if maybe they got a collector piece.
Uh-huh.
So it was a
Okay.
fun show.
Uh-huh.
Um,
What I've been trying uh, to do with drawing since I can discover the kind of more my style is trying to create a series of drawing of different aspects of Melbourne. Because that I did that of the football, but because actually I'm not really like a Aussie rules football uh, guy much, but uh, because football is a big part of the identity also of this city.
Melbourne culture. Yeah.
Yeah. And for example, now the other piece I'm studying is a drawing of Norfolk actually from High Street when you are going toward Westgard. There is a part where you can see pretty much the CBD from High Street. But also you
Mm-hmm.
can see the roofs and the chimneys and stuff. So I have started doing marking that one in a piece of uh, paper, and that is the next one I will do. Is that of High Street.
Uh-huh.
So it's different. What I'm trying to do is to do drawing from different uh, parts of Melbourne with their own identity and stuff. Because that other drawing is more. This one I showed you before is more about just buildings, but not people in it.
Mm-hmm.
So the ones I'm trying to do now is more like mix of people and building because
Mm-hmm.
I feel like people is such big identity of uh, Melbourne. So, for example, that's one of I'm doing now of not what I'm trying to create before the drawing some characters to put in there, and because
Yeah.
the characters of people in Norfolk are pretty much different of some people you will find I don't know like in Blue Meadows or Bayswater or like is more like a type of people. So it's I want to try to show probably a little bit of that in there.
So do you think that you would like to have characters that pop up regularly, or do you
Um,
want them to be different characters every time? Because that could be an interesting,
yeah,
thing, almost like did you have Where's Waldo
yeah,
in Chile?
yeah,
That kind of thing. Like, maybe you would know
uh-huh,
that there's a
yeah,
certain character that's in every artwork, but only someone
uh-huh,
that's paying very close attention would know. So
yeah,
like little hidden
hidden,
hidden
yeah.
notes.
Yeah, actually, it's something when I was doing the other time that drawing of Flinders Street, the crossing Flinders Street. Actually, in the beginning, I almost put a wall though in between there somewhere, but then I finally didn't do it. But actually, I've been thinking that probably because the characters I'm creating are going to be pretty much different in each picture, but also probably there are going to be some repetitions, probably some characters from some place and another. Yeah,
Sorry, what was that? It broke up a little bit. Might be
yeah.
some.
No, I'm saying that I'm planning to have pretty much different characters in different drawings. But actually, it's a good idea to have that, to have one character that probably repeats in different.
Yeah, well, I always think about storytelling
Yeah.
personally. Like I'm not
Mhm,
I guess I think bigger picture, and
mhm,
I'm just wondering if if you want to stand out and you're making a conscious effort to run your art as a business, you need a bit of a strategy or a way to pull people in rather than kind of just creating your art whatever you feel at the
uh-huh,
time, right? Like Bansky is political. He's got his whole
uh-huh.
thing about who is he? No one knows. Oh, he popped up in Berlin. Oh, he
Yeah,
popped up in Australia. It's like that's part of the reason that he's grown so infamous is because of the secrecy and
uh-huh.
message behind what he does. Um, and the character thing, I think, is a maybe they're not in every artwork, but just
Mhm.
certain characters become reoccurring just naturally as it happens. But
Yeah,
you can have a little bit of an internal story of who that person is, and maybe you
uh-huh,
don't talk about it at all
uh-huh.
until later,
Yeah,
or I think it's a way to add a little bit of play
uh,
to what you're doing for your audience.
yeah. Actually, it's a great idea. I like it. I I had probably a bit of an idea of that, but now that you mention it, I feel like yeah, it's actually a good idea.
Well, because the city is full of people that are there all the time, right? It's
Yeah,
like there's lots of people that are just visiting, but there's also people that work there every
yeah,
single day.
yeah.
Um,
And there's so
so
many stories. And, since I moved here, I have um, I have learned a lot of amazing stories of people and stories of survival, and that actually in someone they have knocked me out a little bit because when I worked with the Victorian Multicultural Commission, my role was mainly to they used to send me to different parts of Victoria to interview immigrants, and that's why I met a lot of refugee people from Syria and Iraq, and
mm,
some of their stories were just absolutely kind of knocked me out. And once I met a family who was from Iraq when the Americans invaded Iraq to overthrow Saddam Hussein. They have to escape, and they went back to they escaped to Syria. When they were in Syria, then started the civil war in Syria. They have to escape back to Iraq. When they arrived in Iraq, the ISIS was taking over their own place where they used to live. So they have to keep just running away, you know. And I never, when I was listening to the story, I feel like, whoa. And then another lady, also from Iraq, pretty much the same story. But then when they came back from Syria to Iraq, also their city was taken over by ISIS. And actually, the husband of the lady was killed by ISIS, you know. And when she escaped, she was pregnant with one baby from the husband, and then that baby was born in the wild to Australia, and that little boy never will know the father. You know, it's just. And I
mm,
remember when I was listening to all those stories, feel like, wow, like I've been so lucky, and so there is so many stories. I'm, I like reading and writing too. So always when I'm in a train or tram or any place, when I look at people, I feel like there's so many stories. You know, everyone is
mm,
their own novel, or you know, like
yeah.
yeah. So it's probably it's a good idea to show a little bit of that to the drawings.
Yeah. And I'm just thinking from a content perspective, you could have, I know you just said that you like writing. Do you like writing in English, or do you like writing like
Well,
when you write like a story or something?
no.
Would you write it in
Well,
English or no?
usually it was more in Spanish, but I have
Mm.
I have done two stories or three in English. Actually,
Hmm.
one of them was in this magazine, what's this? One magazine from the diving council, and there was one story I did back few years back. So I've been trying exploring more like writing in English as well.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah. So now when I'm posting these pictures, actually I'm trying to, since you told me the other time, to create a little story, which so is been trying to do that, but
Hmm.
yeah.
So have you put some posts up? I haven't been looking at Instagram at all because
Yeah. I have done
I
a little
need a
bit, but
break.
yeah, actually I've been even myself too much in Instagram because uh, I get too distracted sometimes by those sort of stuff that I to
Yeah.
to
Well, when we start working on a bit more, oh, you look so different in your photo to now. It's funny seeing people a few years ago compared to now. Um,
yeah,
when we, it's mostly just your hair is different. Um,
yeah, my hair is always
when,
different because
yeah.
sometimes in the summer I always shave my hair, and then in my wife's always laughing at me because in summer, if you see me in summer, I'm bald. If you see me
Right,
in July, I'm like
a big
yeah,
mop.
I really, yeah,
I love that. When we start working on content
uh-huh,
together, um, I'll show you how to create posts not in Instagram, like on the computer. So,
uh-huh,
and scheduling them so that you don't get distracted
uh-huh.
in the Instagram world.
Um,
So you can actually set up your posts so that you sit on your computer and you do a month's worth of posts. You do
uh-huh,
them all in an hour, and
uh-huh,
then they'll just post for you. And then you'll still want to log in and talk to people and do all of that. But it makes it a bit easier to make sure that you're creating for your audience, right, and not rushing and being
uh-huh,
strategic in what you do. So
uh-huh.
yeah, we'll talk more about that in a later session. I think we're not quite ready to do that yet.
Mhm.
But I just popped a note on your notes that thinking about content, you could have your finished artworks there, and also pictures of your prints in various setups, or like framed works on the wall and that kind of thing.
Mhm.
Um, but also you could do little sketches of the people that you were just talking to me about.
Yeah.
The refugees and people that you've met along the way, and they might just be simple sketches.
Uh-huh.
Maybe you don't spend a huge amount of time on them, but telling those stories, because
Uh-huh.
I think from an engagement perspective, I think that people would like to read those stories, and it
Uh-huh.
will keep people on your page and
Yeah.
coming back for more, which is very good for trying to sell your product.
Yeah.
Because there's an 80-20 rule with
Uh-huh.
social media, where you want to be creating 80% of your content should be, I can't remember exactly, but educational, engaging, inspiring, fun, like
Uh-huh.
filler content.
Yeah.
And then 20% of it would be about, by the way, you can buy my art,
Yeah.
or I'm doing an exhibition, or
Uh-huh.
come and meet me at this Meet the Artist event, or come to my workshop, or whatever the things might be. And I think those stories and telling people kind of how they, what the connection is to your work, I think that will be I think you've got lots of great content. I was just imagining, the reason I was asking if you liked writing in English was because you could even, like, video content is very important. And I was just thinking that you could make a video of, I'm just looking if I've got something. I've got a receipt. That's going to be my artwork. I'm just going to flip you around and show you. So your video might be something like, if this was your artwork, the video might just be going in on the details. But then you might have a voiceover of you telling a story. So, 2 years ago, I met this woman named such and such who was from this place, and her story was really moving to me because blah, 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 blah. And they would only be, maybe 15 to 30 seconds, not very long. And maybe they can go to your blog to read her full story. Which will get them to click on your website and then go see what you're selling. But that would be very easy for you to do. Like it probably doesn't sound easy because you probably don't know how to do it, but the process is quite simple. I could show you in 10 minutes. You just make the video, and there's an app that you put the video in and you record the voiceover. But I think if you were doing that regularly, and it sounds like you have a lot of stories, and you can go out and find more stories, right? Like that can be something that you go out and do every month, is go into different communities and meet people, if you wanted to. But I think that would be really beautiful content that would make people kind of stay with you on the journey, because the hardest part with social media is engagement and creating content that people actually want to see. The strategy of just posting pictures of your art that's for sale or work in progress, it doesn't really work. You need a bit more depth to what you're doing to make it work.
Actually, it's a great idea, because something that I was feeling a little bit is feel more like, I was having picture of my drawings and all that stuff. But since you mentioned that idea of those kind of more simple sketches and telling some story about, I feel I would probably put some more content with like a deep content in there that I have always feel like I would like to do more. Back in the day, I was involved in a lot of activism back in my country, and in the beginning a little bit here, and then since my daughter was born, then I feel like I haven't had enough time to do things. Then I started doing all the drawing things. So I feel like the drawings were only drawings, but nothing more. To
I
tell a
think they're
story.
much more than that. I think there's
Yeah.
much more in there. Yeah.
But now that you mentioned this idea, I feel like, wow, I never saw about that before. And actually, it's a good idea. I probably will start doing it, because there are a lot of things that I would like to tell, or like there's so many stories and so many so many things that you.
So easy homework. Have a
Yeah.
little notepad or a little book or something on your desk. Just anytime one of these stories pops into your mind, because trying to think of one on demand is really hard. But I'm sure that when you're washing the dishes, one will pop into your head or something. So have a notepad or on your phone, whatever works for you, and just write down a quick note to remind you. I don't know if you can hear the doggies going crazy. To remind you to create a piece of content on that, or just remind you about the idea, because you can have thousands of ideas, but the second that you sit down to draw one of the people, you won't be able to think of one. So just, yeah, get in the habit of just noting them down. But I think, yeah, I reckon that you're on to something there. And that, yeah, you can create some really compelling content. So if you want to try, if it feels good to do it in the next couple of weeks, try and draw one or two of those people and write the stories, even just one. And then we can workshop how to actually use that piece of content. So, you know, write a couple of 100 words about their story, and then you just put it in the document, and then I'll help you create a piece of social media content that will give you more bang for your buck, right? Because just posting the photo and writing the information, there are ways that you can get 5 times more eyeballs on that piece of content. So and I won't go into that now because it'll probably go over your head. But
I've been seeing a lot of these stories these days, because now in a few weeks more it's going to be like 10 years since I arrived in Australia, and in those 10 years I have met a lot of people, you know, from different walks of life and different stories, and I have learned a lot from them. And also there was a time when I felt probably even a little bit overwhelmed, but all from all these stories, and I feel like there was a time when I became cynic, and I was feeling like, there's no chance, there's no hope, nothing is going to change, it's just all black, you know. And then my daughter was born, and I was feeling, well, I can't be thinking that way. I got a daughter now. I have to try to do something for live a better world for her. Yeah. So then, yeah, I have a lot of stories. So I have, because when I moved to Australia, I didn't speak English, so I had to start studying English. And when I went to my English school, it was full of immigrants. No one spoke the language of each other, and we were all sitting in there trying to communicate. And this guy from Cuba was sitting near myself. He was talking to me the whole day in Arabic, and I was like, I don't understand my speaking Spanish, and it was just so funny. But by the time was passing, we learned English. So we always keep in touch. So yeah, so there is a lot of stories.
Yeah, awesome. What are these drawings on your Instagram page that have they're like, I'll show you. I'll just flip this around. What are these ones with the numbers?
No, it was just notebook I found, and that notebook has some numbers in top. I was just using for drawing. The numbers actually didn't have any meaning.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it wasn't some kind of project or anything like that.
No, it was just an old notebook, and I started using it to do some more like quick and simple sketches to kind of guide my hand. Some of those sketches are a little bit actually random from different things. And that is more like something I will start trying to do more now, focusing in more in one idea of this. In my Facebook page.
I think random is fine as long as there's a theme, right? So your theme is the stories of the people. And as long as you're telling those stories, then I think it's fine. I'm just kind of trying to look through your I'm looking through your posts and seeing which ones have gotten the most likes and so on.
Actually, I think the one who got the most like is a drawing I did last year, mainly for fun. It was kind of different than they usually do. It was a little bit more science fiction.
This one?
Yep. Yeah.
I
got the inspiration from Melbourne, but I kind of
it's a little bit it's got a little bit of Escher and different
Yeah,
things in it as well.
yeah. And
Yeah, I really like it.
that was something that I did mainly for fun, but actually I really enjoyed doing that one.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really great. I think you
That
should
was,
pay attention to that
uh-huh.
and have a think about why people may have resonated with it.
Yeah.
And I mean, that could be a good one to do prints of.
Uh-huh.
But I know that probably you know think
uh-huh.
it's not quite right because you made this mistake and this other mistake and
Uh-huh.
whatever, because it's a year old. But maybe thinking about like reproducing some of the elements in new pieces even.
Uh-huh.
I love the clouds at the bottom.
Yeah. Because what they did is it was kind of a creative story with that book too. I used the idea of the postcode of Melbourne being 3000, and then I kind of created that this was Melbourne in the year 3000, and uh, and I tried to create this kind of bit science fiction story of. I think, but then I was thinking a lot about religion and science, and that usually we have the idea that the future is going to be better for mankind. We are going to be more rational or stuff. But then I was thinking maybe
Mm-hmm.
in 1,000 years we are going to be still be crazy and try to create the idea that actually religion is not disappearing. It's probably just evolving and starting something different.
Mm. Yeah,
And yeah, so
yeah,
there
it's
was,
so interesting.
uh, and also how I was imagining, because I was reading that, for example, if we live in Mars or something, the bodies of people will change because the gravity of those planets will affect the body of anyone. So I was reading that people who live, if there are people who will live, in asteroid belt, they will become more thin and tall, and their bones are going to be less fit to live on Earth, you know? So I was
Mm.
trying to create this idea that probably there's going to be another type of racism back in the future, like we are humans, you are not, or something like that. So it was all like,
Mm.
uh,
Yeah,
yeah,
cool. Well, I really like it, and I think you should um follow that path a little bit maybe as
yeah,
well in your travels. um so I think maybe not giving you too much homework this week is good.
uh-huh.
If you wanted to, it would be good to make a little bit of progress on thinking about how you're going to get the actual prints done.
Uh-huh.
So I don't know if you want to go for an adventure,
Uh-huh.
whether it's just on the phone or on your feet. But I've put two printers, the names of two professional printers in Melbourne in the homework notes. Hound and Bone, which is in Fitzroy.
Okay.
And there's one called SMLXL, as in small, medium, large, extra large, SMLXL, which is in Paran. Those are two printers that a lot of artists that exhibit at Incubator use, and I've heard like people recommend them. So they would be two good ones to, maybe contact and say, this is my artwork. I would like to get it scanned and I would like to create prints. Can you talk to me about the papers and the inks and the process, and get some quotes on how much it will cost you to print them? The other thing you could think about, and I don't think it's a bad idea, would be to actually just buy a good inkjet printer, and you could print your own prints. But I think going and talking to the printers, you'll get information about like what kind of inks they use and why they use them, and what's the difference between an archival print and a non-archival print, and what paper do they use, because then even if you decide to print them yourself, you'll know exactly what you need.
Yeah.
You'll know what kind of printer you need, you know, what kind of dies you want to get, and so on. So no, don't get anything printed, but maybe just take one in and or call them and see if you can go in and chat to them about how it all works.
Yeah, it's a good idea to start thinking of that.
Yeah, because if we're going to work out how much to charge, we need to know how much it's going to cost to print.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that's the only homework that I've put on there. Well, I'll put the other thing is to write down story ideas as they come to you, create one persona, one person, or one sketch we can create content from with a story. So if you can try and write a story, I mean, this one can be not too long. So Instagram length, I suppose. The other thing I just wanted to ask you before we finished up was, did you happen to think about how you wanted to sell them? Did you look at different website options, or are you kind of just happy to take my lead on that?
You mean to sell them on okay.
The platform to sell, yeah.
Well, I haven't given too much thought for that. I joined the Mighty Network and actually got the app in the telephone now. And I think I haven't really thought too much about that, but
That's okay.
yeah, probably in that case I may take your lead on that. And yeah.
Cool, that's fine. I think what we really want to think about for you is we want to have a way for you to have a blog and an online store in the same place, because your point of difference is, it seems to me, to be about storytelling. So you need a platform that allows you to tell a story. And yeah, we'll work out the best way to do that when we're ready to start listing them. But I'm conscious that I would like you to, I mean, you're obviously very welcome to continue working with me after your 10 sessions, but I would like you to get to a point where you actually have a product to sell and a way to sell it at that stage. So, for me, time is of the essence to make some decisions and start working on that in the background as well, unless you want to wait. So I'm just going to have a quick look if Square has a blog function. Yeah, you can. So I think I think it would be good to just set up a Square website for you, because it links in with the credit card payment device. You can have an e-commerce store and a blog. Can you have Instagram shopping? No. Yeah, you can have shoppable posts, which means that you can post something on your Instagram and have a little link for someone to buy the product.
All right.
And it's there's a free version, so we could get everything sorted in the background, and then when you're ready to launch it, you can have a custom domain, and so it would be albertoschultz.com.au or whatever you want your business name to be. That would be $15 a month just for the hosting and the domain name, which I think is really quite good.
Yeah.
If we think about what we spend $15 on.
Yeah.
And you could also list them on Etsy, but I always recommend that with selling online that you have your own website and then you use marketplaces, but you use them as marketing tools, because the problem with selling on Etsy is you don't get to keep your customers.
Okay.
So if someone buys from you, you can't continue to market to that person. But on your website, you have full control to get their email address, put them on your mailing list, and continue to communicate with them. It costs much more money to get a new customer than it does to sell to an existing customer. So, Etsy is good. I think for like occasional extra sales, but you would treat it kind of like a person going off and doing some marketing for you. You wouldn't want to rely on that person exclusively. And you definitely don't want to send your customers to someone else.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll think about that. Anything else you would like to chat about today?
The weather?
It's cold.
Cold. It actually is beautiful. No, really, actually, probably will start something I have, question I have, but I never put them down and then I forget. Probably will start doing that now with the notepad, taking notes of all those sort of things. And
yeah.
Writing them.
Yeah, or just send me if it's a quick question, just send me a message as well. I'm happy to. I won't answer them until I'm ready. So don't feel like you're adding pressure or anything like that. If it's a question that would benefit the group on the Mighty Network, then you can ask it there, and then that way everyone gets to see the answer and contribute. Or if it's a question just for me, you can also send it through the Mighty Network as a direct message or through Instagram. But please feel free to ask a question. I only check Instagram when I'm kind of ready. Like I don't read your messages until I'm ready to reply to them. So
yeah, no problem. And it's a good idea, good tool with that of the Mighty Network, and it's something that probably need to work on myself. I've been always more like, call it shy or something, but never I probably never participate in blogs or like in
communities. Yep.
Yeah, but it's something that I know is a really good tool, and I need to just use it and do it.
Yeah, it's I mean, look, it's growing. This was mostly just for me to talk to Cubers, and we're only just opening it up to other people. So there's not lots of questions, but the more questions, the better. I really want it to grow and be a great resource for people. So, even if you ask me a question, I might go and ask it on there anyway.
Yeah. No
problem. Cool. All right. Well,
yeah.
Good luck.
Thank you so much, and I hope you have a good week too, and think through all these ideas. And I need to start being more, what is the word, organized. Not something to feel my ideas are all over the place. I just to grab them and put them down.
Yeah. Look, it's I know that feeling well. It's I think especially now we're all a bit like that. anyway. But
Yeah,
you know,
it's
there's
terrible.
lots.
It's always terrible. I never. Sometimes people ask me, "What are you planning?" or this and that. And never I can tell them. I know what they know. I know what they want, or but they don't know how to put them in words. Sometimes people, like it's feel like this. I know how
Mm,
to follow them, but many times I feel like I don't know how to explain those ideas.
mm.
That's funny because
Well,
it is
but
really different.
do you think maybe though that's because you're an artist and the way that you explain things is through drawing?
Maybe.
You know,
And
maybe like that's an easier way to
yeah,
putting together, like explaining ourselves in language is really hard. Where, you know, we're taught to express ourselves, but we're also kind of taught
yeah,
not to.
yeah. It's that. I remember once my brother told me in Chile that he told me that he was such a cool person, and I was thinking, what? Because I never communicate things to him, and then I realized that it's something that is a problem actually I have with everyone, and I feel more comfortable sometimes writing something or drawing something more than talking it. So it's
Mhm,
yeah. I'm someone who I really enjoy poetry and writing poetry, but I'm really bad at probably saying those things in
mhm.
person. It's
Yeah,
just funny. Yeah,
yeah,
but, it's what they say.
that's all right. Well, you'll be able to direct them to your blog when they ask you in the future.
Yeah, yeah, go there.
You can say, I can't tell you, but you can go
Yeah,
read about
just go there. Here's my card.
it.
Yeah, right.
Have your credit card handy so you can buy
Yeah,
something while you're
yeah.
visiting.
I'll explain you more. Right.
Awesome.
All right. Thank you so much.
I'll see you in a couple of weeks.
All right. Perfect.
All right.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.